Support staff have traveled Virginia to seek out input from community members across the Commonwealth. They've heard from students and educators, parents, civil rights leaders from Roanoke to Richmond to Norfolk, in listening sessions, formal commission meetings, and various community forums. So we all have done this together, and thank you so much. You all are such critical partners in this movement, which will eventually create a more inclusive Commonwealth where students can wrestle with the U.S. history and its inequities and build citizens who work to dismantle systemic racism and other isms from our society. With that, I want to introduce Miles Hunt, who was one of the students we met while traveling the Commonwealth to learn of the wide variety of experiences students have or have not had when learning about African American history education. Miles is a senior at Churchland High School and serves as the student representative to the Portsmouth City School Board. So Miles, welcome. It's all yours.
Thank you. As you heard, I am Miles Hunt, the student representative to the school board. And today I have the honor of introducing the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Qarni Northam is the 73rd governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Governor Northam has an Army doctor, a pediatric neurologist, a business owner, and a state senator, and the lieutenant governor. A native of Virginia's Eastern Shore, Governor Northam was educated at the Virginia Military Institute and Eastern Virginia Medical Center and served in the United States Army. Governor Northam is committed to building a Virginia that works better for everyone, no matter where they live or who they are. At this time, please join me in welcoming Governor Ralph Northam.
Well, Miles, thank you so much for your kind introduction and also your willingness to be part of this commission. And it's great to see someone who is a young scholar like yourself, who is a voice for your generation. And this is this is all about your age group and those that are younger. So I thank you for being part of this. And Atif, our Secretary of Education, thank you for your tremendous leadership over the last 3 years. We have a lot more work to do, as you know. But I thank you so much for Atif, as you all know, came right out of the 8th grade classroom, a former Marine who's just hit the ground running and has done wonderful work. So good morning to all of you. It is good to be with all of you this morning. Believe it or not, a year ago now at Old Point Comfort, the site where the first enslaved Africans arrived on Virginia shores 400 years earlier, I signed Executive Order 39 and announced the establishment of the Commission on African American Education in the Commonwealth. I charged the commission with reviewing how we teach African American history in the Commonwealth and create recommendations on how to make it better. Black history, as we all know, is American history, but for too long, our teaching of it has been insufficient and inadequate. We have not told our children the full story of our history, of their history. So this work matters because in Virginia, we haven't always gotten it right. As I said last year when I first announced this commission, Virginia is a place of contradictions and complexity. It is the place where enslaved Africans first landed and where American representative democracy was born. Virginia is the place where emancipation began and the Confederate capital was located. And Virginia is the place where schools were closed under massive resistance, rather than desegregate and allow Black children to attend. And it is the state that elected the nation's first African-American governor. We have to teach that complexity to our children and often to our adults and often their parents. I always say when we know more, we can do more. So that's why it's so important that our children better understand African American history and the ways in which our racial history continues to influence policies and systems today. When we learn about the past, we can create a better tomorrow. So we appointed a diverse and talented group of scholars, educators, and community leaders to serve on this commission. Dr. Rosa Atkins, Dr. Derek Ulrich, and Dr. Cassandra Newby Alexander. Thank you all so much for your thoughtful leadership as the chairs of this commission. The work of this commission has the potential to change the narrative on race in Virginia, improve the history educational standards, and give our educators more opportunity to engage in important conversations and lessons with students. This took your courage, commitment, and a lot of time from all of you. I am just so grateful on behalf of Virginia to you for all the work you've done to ensure that every Virginia student and educator has the resources they need to develop a full and comprehensive understanding of our nation's complex story. As you wrote your final report, we have been in the midst of a global pandemic that disproportionately impacts communities of color. And you have worked against the backdrop of protest and outrage at the murder of George Floyd and too many other Black Americans in the name of law and order. This moment in time has given us an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to break down inequities, to commit to building anti-racist school communities, and to tell a truer, better, and more honest Virginia story in our classrooms. In the coming weeks, our team will thoroughly review your recommendations and think through what changes in policies, procedures, and standards are necessary to support an inclusive, complete, and accurate account of Virginia history in every corner of the Commonwealth. So I look forward to hearing your recommendations. And I just wanted to leave you on something that Pam and I have advocated for years, and that is early childhood education. As we speak, Pam is touring the Commonwealth, reading to our students, giving out books, giving out PPE, and thanking our teachers for all that they do across the Commonwealth. And so there is such a tremendous learning potential in all of our children. There is power literally in every child. And I really believe that the sooner we can begin to educate them, the better. And it's not just important for didactics, the learning of your numbers and letters. It's important to make our students, especially our young students, realize that we are all God's people and that we are all in this together. And while I have taken care of a lot of children, while I've held a lot of infants in my arms as a pediatrician, the hatred and the bigotry is learned behavior. These children are not born with that. And so that's why it's so important that we reach out to all of our children, especially at an early age, and make sure that they know how important they are and to make sure that they understand Virginia history. So on behalf of Virginia, I'm very excited. And I want to just thank all of you. I know the work that you all have put into this. And I'm looking forward to seeing your recommendations, to hearing from you, and also to continuing this dialogue, especially with people like Miles, because that's the population that we need to really reach out to. So Miles, thank you for your kind introduction. Thanks for your work on this commission, and I will turn it back over to you, Atif, and I look forward to hearing your recommendations.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you so much for being part of this process for the last year. You've been engaged with this commission more than any other commission that exists. So really appreciate your leadership, sir. Then before we start the next agenda on the item, I do want to recognize our Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. It's the first of its kind cabinet position. So Virginia is leading the way in there. Dr. Underwood is online. So thank you, Dr. Underwood. for jumping on. I know you have many meetings, but I appreciate you jumping on. So the next agenda on the item is the importance of getting this right. We will hear from one of our co-chairs, Dr. Atkins, who's a superintendent